What's going on, webheads? Roundaway here. I don't really talk about them much on my channel. Platform fighters are really special to me. Mainly Smash Bros, the biggest platform fighter of them all. Back when Smash Ultimate came out, it was my first time ever I actually tried to learn fighting games. I've been playing fighting games my whole life, but I never really got super into them until around the time of Smash Ultimate. I actually tried to get really good at that game, but it wasn't my first introduction to Smash Bros. My first introduction to Smash Bros was Smash Bros. Brawl on the Wii, and it's still, while not the best Smash game or the most competitive, it's still probably my favorite Smash game of them all, just purely off of content and nostalgia. I want to talk about platform fighters, but from a forgotten age, if you will, back before platform fighter was even a real term. Nowadays, if you want to play a game like Smash Brothers, you have plenty of options. Basically, soon after Ultimate came out, there's been many people trying to recapture that Smash Bros feeling, but not really hitting the mark. And while the indie space is actually pretty good at recreating Smash-like games, none of these games have basically ended up being as successful as Smash for obvious reasons. You know, all these Nintendo and video game characters fighting together. Something that you can't really beat, but Lord knows people have tried and failed many times. And that's basically what we're going to be looking at. Some platform fighters that tried to ape off of Smash Bros. Success. However, these games came out before the platform fighter like moniker. Back when it was kind of more taboo to make a game even similar to Smash Bros. In the first place. Like I said, now there's so many different platform fighters that it doesn't really matter. Like the term Smash clone has gone out of style and platform fighters basically become its own genre. But back when these games came out, like they were pretty much just seen as Smash Bros ripoffs. Not to say all these games are bad, but they're not necessarily great either. The first game we're going to be talking about is probably the most famous or infamous, depending how you look on it, Smash Bros clone or ripoff or platform fighter, whatever you want to call it, of all time. I think more people actually know of this game than people who were there actually playing it. I was around for when this game came out and I was pretty excited for it. That being PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. Now, the concept of a game like Smash Bros, but with PlayStation characters is a pretty good idea. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Nintendo is one of the biggest gaming companies on the planet, and so is Sony. This is in an era before they just made 26 remakes of The Last of Us and Spider-Man, and they actually had characters and mascots and stuff. So this seems like a match made in heaven, but it turned out to be alright. Like, I don't hate this game as much as some people do, but this game isn't good either. The game was developed by Superbot for the PlayStation Vita and PS3 and released in November 20th, 2012. I remember being super hyped for this game when I was younger, mainly because I was a PlayStation kid growing up and I always wanted to see a game with a bunch of PlayStation characters fighting each other and stuff like that. Even though, ironically enough, I did have a Wii at the time and I had Smash Bros. Brawl, like I said earlier. Well, my excitement was a little weird, but hey, it's a PlayStation version of Smash Bros. I was just happy to see it on a PlayStation console anyway. I do have a lot of experience playing this game as well. Let's talk about one of the biggest things about this game being the roster. If you've never played this game or even care about it, you still know about the roster because it's probably one of the most famous or infamous talking points about the game as a whole, because this roster is something alright. For a game called PlayStation All-Stars, there's a lot of like really weird characters in this game. So we have a lot of characters from PlayStation games or like PlayStation owned studios, right? We got Kratos, we got Nathan Drake, we got Sly Cooper, Parappa the Rapper, Spike. You know, this is like a good variety of characters. Sweet Tooth's in there, like PS1 through 3 era characters, like basically who you would expect, Ratchet and Clank. But then we got some like weird ass characters in this game. Like for some reason we have Fat Princess, which is probably a character that a lot of people talk about in this game because it's from some random, I think like indie game that was on the PlayStation at the time. And yeah, I literally had no clue who this fucking character was when I was a little kid. We have Heihachi in this game, which is cool because I mean Tekken, it's a fighting game character in a Smash Bros like game that's not like that predates Smash Bros doing that because this game came out before Smash 4. But it's specifically this version of him from Tekken Tag 2, which was like the younger Heihachi, which is kind of strange because you would expect like the old version of him. We have some like really weird standout characters like Raiden from Metal Gear. Great game now, but a game that wasn't really well received at the time. And it not being a Metal Gear character from a PlayStation exclusive game, because almost every Metal Gear game at the time was PlayStation exclusive. Like, the franchise was specifically known for it being a PlayStation exclusive, but they had Raiden for some reason, whose game was also on the Xbox 360. So I don't know what was going on. Maybe they couldn't get the rights to Snake or something because of Smash Bros, but he wasn't even going to be in Smash 4, so I have no clue. But it was also probably just a marketing tie-in because Metal Gear Rising was like new at the time. They definitely probably should have just used old Snake from Metal Gear 4. Speaking of tie-ins, Capcom specifically wanted Dante in the game, which makes sense because he's a PlayStation icon basically, and at the time every single one of his games was PlayStation exclusive except the reboot, and yeah, it's the reboot version because they wanted it to tie in with the game. If I'm almost certain, I gotta look this up and I'll correct myself if I'm wrong, but I don't even think this game was out yet when he was added to the game. They literally pulled a Fire Emblem Roy situation. And this game also did one more thing that Smash Bros didn't do. This game has 2 Coles in it, from Cole McGrath from Infamous. Great game and great series, and I get that there is a morality system and he gets different powers depending on it, but like, why the fuck is there 2 Cole McGraths of all characters? Like, there's like an Echo Fighter. They literally did Pit and Dark Pit before Smash Bros. How is that even possible? Another character, Big Daddy from BioShock, which is also not a PlayStation exclusive, and again, I may be remembering this wrong, but this game came out on Xbox before PlayStation, so it's a multi-platform that wasn't even on PlayStation originally, but he's just there. And yeah, the roster was just really weird, mainly because of like the rights to getting all of the characters, and a lot of characters that were associated with PlayStation weren't actually owned by PlayStation. They were just kind of on the consoles, you know what I mean? They couldn't get characters like Crash and Spyro mainly because of how much money they were. Like, Activision wanted a stupid amount of money for them. I think they should have just went for it, because I guess that would have probably got more people to care, but with a lackluster roster, kind of didn't help the game at all. Now, the game isn't just gonna sell based off characters if it's not fun, and the gameplay is something really weird. This game originally wasn't going to be a fighting game. It was more primarily focused on being a party game and not in the typical platform fighter way. Like, there would be little objectives and stuff, and not just about pure fighting. The game got pretty much reworked last minute to be an actual fighting game, and the company who made this Superbot, they did not have any experience making an actual fighting game, and just kind of a rough estimation of what Smash did. To be different from Smash Bros, they took a lot of weird liberties. Like, for example, doing damage in this game basically does nothing. There's no ring outs. You can't kill somebody by knocking them off the map, and any map with a ledge, they'll just respawn. You actually get kills in this game to like progress and, you know, end the round is basically by filling up this little super meter at the bottom of the screen. Now, there are 3 levels to the super meter, level 1, 2, and 3, and each does a different thing. Level 1s are like usually single target super moves that are basically mainly for taking out one person. However, I'm pretty sure certain characters can take out multiple people, but it's usually some like forward charging one that just gives you a kill. Level 2s actually are like multi-hitting attacks designed for taking out like more than one person, and a level 3 is usually a sort of cinematic, I guess you could call it, super, usually some type of install where like a bunch of shit happens and the character will like transform and stuff, and these are some cool references to the characters themselves. It's also really annoying at the same time, considering the fact that whenever someone will pop a level 3, you're basically defenseless for the entire time, and you literally can't fight back until the timer runs out on the move itself. Now, that's one of the main issues with this game and a lot of games that try to be like Smash Bros and literally just don't rip off the exact like control schemes or gameplay mechanics from Smash. Like, if you're gonna do this anyway and be in Smash Clone, you might as well go all the way. Like, stop trying to change it just to be unique and different. And basically the winner is decided on how many kills you get. But you could also change it to be like Smash Bros even more by having stocks, which honestly I think makes the game way better. Timer method is like super lame and makes the matches go on way too long because the game's kind of sluggish. Like, you're not really that mobile for the most part. You're just hitting each other and just waiting for the meter to fill up. The game could really easily, if it's like less than 3 people or 4, it will end up basically being a stalemate every single time. And there's literally an achievement you get for making the game go into overtime 4 times in a row, which overtime is basically like sudden death from Smash Bros. But instead of dying in 1 hit, you basically just build up meter like really quickly. That's not a solution. That's just like a band-aid fix to like the actual problem. Now, I know I've been mostly negative about this game, but there are a few things I like. I think the soundtrack is really cool, and this actually ties into the other thing I was gonna say about the stages. This game has a good identity of like it being a genuine crossover, because every stage like is a combination of multiple stages, and this is an idea I would like Smash Bros to actually do. Like, basically, for example, you'll be on the God of War stage, and then, like, these little guys pop out. I'm forgetting from what game they're actually from, but, like, in the Parappa the Rapper stage, there's also, like, a Metal Gear that will appear in the background. Basically, like, each character's stages are, like, 2 stages in one, and, like, they'll cross over from different universes and create more hazards and stuff. And I like this idea a lot, and like I said, I would like Smash Bros to do this. I know Smash Bros is more of a celebration of, like, individual characters, so it'd be kind of weird if you were on a Mario stage and fucking like Ganondorf or like some Zelda villain appeared, but I feel like this would be a cool idea and just a better version of like the stage morph mechanic from Ultimate. The music accompanying this by being a mix of whatever 2 stages are merging, like it's a remix plus a mashup of each of the songs, and I generally recommend checking out the soundtrack to PlayStation All-Stars. The game also has a good sense of costumes. Like there's a lot of costumes and references to like other characters' appearances, and each character has their own alternate outfits, which is pretty cool. Game's arcade mode is also pretty interesting, where it's your standard arcade mode like in Smash Bros, except you actually have like a mini story. It's not really a story, it's basically just a little introductory like slideshow of your character and basically saying that they're gonna win this and everything like that. And then an accompanying ending one, basically after they win. There's also another cool thing, that every character has a rival character, and you see it in the opening, but these characters are just the little rivals that you fight right before you fight the final boss, which I'll get into, and it's usually pretty random, like, what the rivals are. Like, it's always this set rivals, like, if you're this character, you'll always fight this character type of thing, but they have like a little introductory pre-fight thing where they have like a little misunderstanding. And this game has all the voice actors for their respective characters, but like there's just so many weird combinations of characters that like have beef with each other for no reason, but it is entertaining to say the least. Like they didn't have to put that much effort into it, but you get into a little 1v1 fight with them, and then you move on to the final boss, who's Polygon Man, which I didn't even know this was a real character, but apparently this is like a failed PlayStation mascot from Japan, and it's just this fucking like weird polygon dude, and you kind of fight him. He looks like Knack. But yeah, that's basically it. There's not really many other modes besides like a few tutorials. There is an online, which I did play years ago, and I don't remember how good the connection was. It probably wasn't that good, in all honesty. Like I can't imagine it being that good. The game also did get a few DLCs. There's a few stages that were DLC, and then a few characters. There was Zeus from God of War, which is really funny. Isaac Clarke from Dead Space, which, again, not a PlayStation exclusive series. And Cat from Gravity Rush, which this is actually a cool DLC character and was a PlayStation Vita exclusive series, so, well, at the time at least. But overall, yeah, this game probably could have been better, maybe if it just had a better roster and had better gameplay and wasn't just slow and sluggish, but it's not that bad. Like, if you want to just fuck around with your friends and you have a PS3 still and you just want to play this game, I'd say it's not worth trying. I'd say even if Sony wanted to make their own fighting game with this concept and all these PlayStation characters, I'd say go for it. I'd be down to try it, as long as you just improve the gameplay. This next game is actually a game I've never played before, and I really don't know how, considering that this game was on PS3 as well. That being Cartoon Network Punch Time Explosion, which is a crossover between a bunch of Cartoon Network franchises, and like most kids, I loved cartoons, but I liked Nickelodeon a lot when I was younger, but Cartoon Network as I got older. Yeah, somehow I still never got this game. I knew about it, I never played it though. Now I'm gonna be playing it for the first time for this video. Something interesting about this game already, going with the roster again, is that it's mainly Cartoon Network characters pre-2010. With most of the roster being from the 90s / early 2000s side of Cartoon Network. Even though this game did come out 2011. The reason I want to point this out is because, like I said, all the characters are older Cartoon Network characters. When Cartoon Network was literally at this time going through its like big renaissance era, like around this time frame is when Gumball, Adventure Time, and Regular Show, basically the big three of Cartoon Network, or at least modern Cartoon Network, they were all out at the time, so that's why it's extra weird that none of them are featured. But to be fair, their shows like literally just came out, with it airing like months before this actual game came out, so I guess that's why. And also the series were new, so they probably just didn't want to foreshadow some of their more popular beloved shows in favor of like the new shows that they didn't know were going to be as smash hits as they were. But this roster is still pretty good overall. We got Powerpuff, Dexter's Lab, Chowder, even Ben 10, which is kind of a surprising pick because he's a little bit of a newer character. Same with Flapjack, at least for this game's roster. And yeah, it's just kind of funny that this game exists with all these like Cartoon Network characters before Multiverses, as we all know what happened to that game. There are actually two versions of this game, the original DS version and then the PS3 and 360 version, which came out later and added more characters, called Punch Time Explosion XL, which again, kind of funny, they did the whole XL thing before Mortal Kombat did. As for the gameplay itself, this is probably my favorite game of this whole video, because like I said with PlayStation All-Stars, this game doesn't do anything special or fancy or try to be gimmicky. This is just Smash Bros, like straight up. It's the same control scheme and everything, minus the buttons being switched around a little bit. Yeah, there's guarding, there's rolling, there's spot dodging, air dodging, smash attacks, and yeah, you build up the percentage and then you knock them out of the arena. And the game has stocks by default, which is interesting because a lot of these games, for some reason, stocks are just like not the default setting. However, you can change the settings to be whatever you want, increasing like the time limit or not. There's also these extra little game modes that differ slightly from the main gameplay. Like there's a mode where like these robots like are in the map and they're attacking everybody, and you basically have to like get the most points by killing them. Yeah, this game overall feels pretty much like how Smash Bros does. Like, it's pretty similar, minus the physics being a little weird. Like, they're not bad, but they just feel off. Like, nothing has that much impact to it, but I could definitely say this is better than Multiverses. Also, the game is a little slippery, too. Like, I feel like you'll end up, like, falling off the edge a lot, and for some reason, like, your aerial mobility, it's not, like, bad, but it doesn't feel as, like, it feels like you're in less control than Smash. I honestly think this is like probably one of the better underrated Smash clones out there, because it doesn't do anything like weird, and it pretty much is just Smash Bros, but for people who don't have a Nintendo console to play it on. One thing that actually surprised me a lot about this game is the story mode. Yeah, this game has an actual story mode, and it's pretty much your standard like crossover thing of like good guys turn evil and then you have to beat them up and then they turn back to normal. But what surprised me is that this is just fully like Subspace Emissary. Okay, maybe not as detailed and, you know, not as expansive, but it is pretty expansive. Like, these are like custom built levels to accommodate for the platforming and stuff, and there's enemies throughout it. It's really fun. Like, I was actually enjoying my time playing this game mode the most. And this is where you actually unlock new stages and characters. Now, one unfortunate thing about this game, there is a lot of characters, but you have to unlock like a majority of them by playing this mode. But it's not that bad because, like I said, this is actually enjoyable. But for some reason, in the story mode itself, you have to unlock the characters too. Meaning, like, you'll start only as Ben 10, then you'll unlock Chowder, Buttercup, and then etc. So you have to unlock characters that are already unlocked, like, specifically in the story mode. Which is a weird choice, but I get it. But yeah, you unlock every character and stage just by playing the story mode. And aside from that, the game doesn't really have that many other modes to it, which is kind of unfortunate, but I mean, I think the story mode is good enough, and it's a pretty long story mode for this type of game, like a couple hours at minimum. Game also features like the real voice actors for every character. While they don't speak that much, probably because of budget reasons, but they actually do have like voice lines and like grunts and stuff. They even got the characters, voice actors for the assist characters, which basically function like assist trophies in Smash, where you just kind of summon them and then there's like different characters that show up. There's also a final smash in this game that every character has. This is the only thing that's similar to PlayStation All-Stars, except you don't need them to get a kill. You have this bar underneath your percentage, and once that fills up, you get access to a punch time explosion, which is just a big super move. And yeah, they're kind of like old Final Smashes from like Brawl. It's either some big like full screen attack or just like an install that basically makes you super powerful. Yeah, the game overall is pretty good, and I'd highly recommend it. Especially if you're a fan of like old school Cartoon Network, this is like a really good game. Probably better than I thought it was gonna be. Last game we're gonna be talking about today in this video is TMNT Smash Up, which is a Ninja Turtles Smash clone. Pretty sure this is based off of like the 2007 movie, which is pretty good as far as I remember. I'm a pretty casual Ninja Turtles fan. Like, I never really got super into it as a kid, besides just watching like random episodes of 2012 and the 2003 show. Unlike everything I just said, this game is awful. Like, this is definitely this game's a piece of shit and the worst game that I've played today for this video. And this is gonna be a quick one because there's not really much to this game. This game is a cheap cash-in just based off the movie just to make money. The only thing even remotely similar to the movie is the character designs, which they stole. But like, if we're talking about everything else, it's more similar to the actual like 80s like goofy TV show, like the old cartoon, than the actual movie. And this game is like weird. Like, first of all, it runs like shit. It plays like really slow and clunky. And this game, it's like not a Smash game at all. Like, it doesn't even have anything similar besides it having items in it. But this game's basically just like a fighting game kind of, but not really. Like, you basically just deplete someone's life bar, and yeah, that's it. Like, you straight up just kill each other. There's no like knocking people out of the arena, no using special moves. There's no special moves either. It's just light and heavy attack. Like, there's no smash attacks or anything like that. It's literally just like a shitty 4-player fighting game. There is platforming and jumping, so I guess that counts for something, and the fact that it is 4 players. There's also like stage hazards too, and actual like stage transitions, which are kind of cool, but that's all that really can be said of this game. There's your standard modes like practice, and then there's a survival mode. There's also a mission mode, which is a mission mode in quotes, because all the missions are like super fucking easy, not challenging at all. And by doing this, you literally gain nothing. And the only other mode is an arcade mode, which this arcade mode has like these comic book styles, like this original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comics, like where they're in black and white and stuff, and they're voiced, but like they look really bad. Basically play through this little story mode, and then you just fight everybody. You have 3 lives in this game, but it's so easy that you literally won't die a single time, and everyone else has 1 life bar, so I don't know why it's like this. It's a little excessive. Like, how many times do you think you're actually gonna die? Especially, like I said, you fight everyone in like one-on-ones too. Like, even though the game is 4-player fighting game, you fight in the arcade mode basically in one-on-one scenarios. Except for some parts where you fight these like random generic Foot Clan ninjas. Yeah, overall this game is like really not good. Like, they made this game in like 15 minutes. That's honest to God what it feels like. It may not look that bad just by like me playing it, but like this game is rough. So thank God it's honestly short, because I couldn't stand playing this game anymore. But yeah, these are some of just like Smash Bros clones from like before the era where this was like a popular genre to make. Like, back when it was kind of like, you know, more Shameless. Companies just trying to rip off Smash games. And like I said, not every game's bad here. I think Punch Time Explosion is actually like a really good game, in all honesty. But like, I can't really say that much for the other 2 games. But yeah, that's gonna be it. Let me know what platform fighters you like, and what other like platform fighters that are like not Smash Bros that are good, or you like or think are funny or anything. And yeah, that's gonna be it. See ya.